My name is Antonio Fernandez, and my son is Antonio Fernandez, the junior version. We noticed in first grade, so he was really young. We actually went into the school in January for a meeting about to talk to the teacher about a very different topic. And she'd mentioned that his reading hadn't improved since the October benchmarks. And we're like, that doesn't sound normal. So we asked more about it, and they were doing additional sessions with him, and Antonio is very diligent, does all his work. So it wasn't that it wasn't trying, it's that something wasn't working. So my wife and I, we talked about it, and we decided to get him tested to find out, what could be there. And the results came back that he had severe dyslexia. And right there, that answered the question. But now it's like the March, in his first grade's almost getting close to over. So then we basically started educating ourselves about what's dyslexia. Once Antonio was diagnosed with dyslexia, my wife joined a couple social media groups, and one of them was about Arlington dyslexia. As we were researching it, we saw that there's reading intervention techniques specifically for dyslexic to show them how to read, because they learn in a very different way than someone that doesn't have dyslexia. So we were looking at programs, looking at options, and we saw that there was an information session for Dyslexic Edge. It was interesting to us because it talked about not just reading intervention, but also the STEM aspect to it. And when we were doing our dyslexic research, we understood, or we learned that for a dyslexic, it's how their brain is wired, which makes reading harder to learn, but they have strengths in other areas. And some of those areas are in the STEM field. So we thought, wow, this is a great program that not only helps with the reading intervention to strengthen a weakness that he has, but also allows him to enjoy and leverage the STEM aspect that would come more naturally to him. So he said, this is a great opportunity. He'll come out enjoying it, while improving his reading. We noticed that he became more confident in reading. With regards to the program, he enjoyed going to it. He was excited about it, although he had to work extra, right, to learn those things. He had a full day of school, and then, he would do the program. We started to see him actually read books on subjects that were interesting to him. And he wouldn't be embarrassed or wouldn't avoid it because it was challenging, because he was learning how to read. It really sort of opened for him those opportunities that non-dyslexic child had, which is taking advantage of being able to read and leverage. So during the program, and as he became that, and then after the program, it was a great foundation for him. He's done very well, and actually of our sons, he's one of the ones that reads for fun more often. It made us feel that as parents, we were providing the best opportunity for him. We were fortunate that we were able to diagnose his dyslexia early. This was in the first grade, and we said, look, we have this diagnosis, we want to look at options and stuff. They said, he's the youngest here. Normally, they don't see that until the third grade or later. So we were very fortunate to catch it early. Because of the Dyslexic Edge program, we were able to do that intervention earlier, and that way minimize the impacts of being behind for several years. We were able to catch it earlier and get that forward. So we're very happy because he's a confident reader, and the dyslexia isn't holding him back from doing the things he needs to do or wants to do. The program helped tremendously with his confidence and his performance. Up until the third grade, more or less, they teach a child how to read. But then after the third grade, the way they teach subjects like science and history and social studies is by reading. So the child has to really learn a lot on their own by reading. So initially, he had more confidence in school. He would actually volunteer and participate to read aloud. He was very excited with the subjects that he liked, like science or history, that he could participate. That made a big difference for us because he continued to enjoy school. Instead of what the option could have been is if we didn't do this program, he would have kept falling behind. And then, as he would have to read to learn material, then he wouldn't realize that he enjoyed science or history, or he'd always, feel out. So by doing this program, he was able to keep up with his peers, and more importantly, figure out the things that he liked and enjoy those in school. So what would I tell a parent that just found out that their child was dyslexic? Well, first of all, it's okay. You didn't do anything wrong, and your child didn't do anything wrong. It's just part of who they are. I would encourage them to do research on dyslexia and recognize that even though dyslexia makes it hard for that person to learn how to read, they can become effective readers. And there's an advantage. A dyslexic mind also is able to process things faster, easier than someone that doesn't have dyslexia. So there's also a strength that comes to it. And part of that is, now that you know that your child has dyslexia, looking for those opportunities like Dyslexic Edge that will help them learn how to read. And then not only that, but also show them the strengths or the areas that they have strengths naturally because of the dyslexia.
Perfect. All right.
Okay, great.
So.
My name is Antonio and I have dyslexia. Well, my struggle in school was I couldn't really read and pronunciate words right. And most of the assignments were timed assignments, so it affects me because I spend 75% of the time on reading it and then 25% of the time on writing the answers. So I'm scrambling for answers at the end while everyone else is the opposite and they finish earlier. And also, when pronunciating words out loud, you're more likely to make an error and feel more embarrassed about yourself than anybody else. Well, it impacted me because it practically made me not want to be as involved in class, and I didn't really enjoy reading as much as I do now. It was a great experience, and they taught me how to read and pronunciate words correctly. Plus also, they've helped me realize that I'm not alone because my group of people I had with me also had dyslexia. And my favorite part of Dyslexic Edge would probably be a Science Saturday, which is practically you take a private tour into special areas, such as the Air and Space Museum. And usually our tour guide is either dyslexic or majority of the work they do is dyslexic. So what changed for me was I started to feel more confident about my reading and speaking skills. So I started to enjoy reading more. And when I enjoyed reading more, I started to become more interested in topics because I don't have to worry as much on the reading aspect, and I start learning more outside of school than I am in school. And I also read for fun, and I usually use an audiobook because you can listen to faster, and you also could look at the words, so you're not really affected by dyslexia in that moment. I don't know what I want to be. I'm a ninth grader in high school from my life, but I still don't know what I want to be. I want to be a doctor, I will be a doctor, an engineer, a dentist, or a teacher, but dyslexia will not limit my options for a career that I want to choose. My goals is to do well in school, graduate high school, get into the college that I want to. So I will tell them for advice, don't worry, there's many programs to help you and build confidence like Dyslexic Edge did. And also, you did nothing wrong.